Hello, this is Manesh Patel from ichimokutrade.com. Today is March 8th, 2015. This is our executive summary for the U.S. future markets, where we cover everything from crude oil, natural gas, heating oil, commodity futures, lumber, corn, sugar, bonds, and so forth. Normal procedures. This is to state this is for education use only. We're not soliciting you buy or selling particular instruments at all. If you do so, you're doing that at your own risk. All the charts you're going to see are basically from TradeStation today for this video. Here are our contact details here. You could email us here at info@eiicapital.com, or you could call us at any of our office locations here. We also have Australia here, which I haven't written for some reason, but we do have an office in Australia too. Also, you could access our website at ichimokutrade.com for any of our free videos, multiple time frame email alerts, and also our real-time scanner, which even allows you to do forecasting now. Okay. So let's go straight to the charts. Remember, on the left hand side is basically the daily time frame, and the right hand side is basically the weekly time frame. We're going to be talking about the support resistances in regards to the weekly time frame, which gives you a long-term view. Okay, so the very first one you could see here is soybean oil. You can see soybean oil is basically bearish trending here, consolidating. This is still very, very bearish as long as it holds this resistance at 33.53. If it breaks that resistance, then this is going to start a major pullback, but it's still holding that resistance right now, even though it's consolidating it here at the bottom. And you could see last week it broke the support again at 31.95. You really need to see the daily start entering a bearish bearish trend here, which you don't quite see right now because it looks very ugly. So this really needs to start setting up, and it's not quite ready to go bearish as of right now. Soybeans, if you look at soybeans here, this had a nice bullish trend here. Should have held the support at 1,028. It didn't hold that support at all, so the bullish momentum kind of pretty much depleted. Now this thing's consolidating right now between 1028 and the bottom down here at 960. And you could see here from the daily time frame here, this major pullback level, resistance level held here at 1028 and 1/8. And now what it needs to do is set up here to go bearish. Minor resistance on this one is going to be 998 and 3/8. If it holds that resistance here, this does have a high probability of retesting 960 and possibly going lower than that. Okay, soybean meal. Unlike soybean oil and soybeans, this is not bearish at all. You could see here, this thing's just consolidating to the top side on bullish side. The consolidation is between 311 and 347 is the consolidation pattern here. However, there is starting to tilt a little more towards the bearish side, and you could see that from the daily time frame here. So I would not go bullish at all. I'll be looking for the support to be broken. If it does, then you could sit there and start looking for a trade on lower time frames and daily time frame for it to start a bearish trend. Corn, you could see corn here, bearish trend here, did a pullback, not even a major pullback at all. It's stuck between 381 1/8 and 399, and it's kind of stuck between that range right now. And you could see is if it breaks the support here, it's going to sit there, retest this low, and resume the bearish trend to the downside. Since it hasn't gone for a major pullback at all, this is still very, very strong to a point. Corn can sit there and break this low here if it gets there and retests it very soon. So keep an eye on this one here for the daily time frame, lower time frames to start setting up to the bearish side. Oats here, you could see here. Let me shrink this down a little. Nice bullish trend here. Should have sat there and hold a support here at 311. It didn't do that at all. So that bullish momentum kind of depleted out of here. This is now starting up to set up a bearish trend here on the weekly time frame, and you could see a rate started on the daily time frame. It's now starting to go for its first major pullback on the daily, but not quite anything at all right now on the weekly at all. It's holding a major resistance at 286 and 6/8. As long as it holds that, this is not going to go for a pullback at all. But be very, very careful here. Excuse me. I would not be going bullish at all on this one right now until we break this resistance at 286 and 6/8, and I definitely wouldn't go bearish on this until we break the support at 272 and 1/8. Sorry about that. That was oats. Next is OJ. You can see here orange juice is trending on both the weekly and daily time frame here. Broke a support 121, got to the next support 113.95, held it so far, but everything's still very strong on the daily and lower time frame to a point it could possibly break that level here at 113. And if it does, believe it or not, it's going to sit there and easily get to about 100. So be very cautious of that guy right there. Wheat here, this is slowly going down right now. You can see here slowly starting to start a major trend here on both the daily and weekly. All it's got to do is break the support at 467. If it does, it's going to start the major trend down. Coffee here, it should have sat there and hold a support. Didn't hold a support 177 at all. So now it started a bearish trend here. Got to a major support here at 133.84. Now we got to see exactly what's going to happen here. It could sit there, retest this low here, or it could hold it here. So these are two major supports right now which it could hold. You could see here on the daily time frame it's still very strong to a point. It's high probability of breaking that and getting to the next level. Sugar. This has been a nice bearish trending downwards here. This is still very strong. Doesn't even see any signs of weakness at all. To a point, it looks like sugar could get down to about $11.44. No, that's not good for a lot of farmers around the world, but what are you going to do? Rough rice, so you can see rough rice, just like sugar, is trending to the downside. It's at a major support at 10.45. It has a high probability based on the daily time frame right now to break it and to get to 9.462. If it holds its support this week, this entire week, then the probabilities are going to be low to break it because the daily is going to sit there and start consolidating. You don't want that at all. If it's going to break it, it needs to break it this week. If not, it's going to start taking some of the bearish momentum out for rough rice. Cocoa, if you look at cocoa here, bullish trending here, did a major pullback, held it at 26.76, and now basically it's at a major resistance right now at 3.032. It's 3.032. It's got to sit there and break this resistance in order to sit there and have a high probability to retest the high. As long as it holds this resistance, it won't. The support it has to hold is 28.53. As long as it holds 28.53, this thing still has a potential of breaking this resistance to retest the high because this is still the first major pullback after the big trend going here. Cotton, you could see cotton right here, nice bearish trend here, upward movement here, which causes a little bullish fake breakout right here. You're kind of at one minor support right now, but the major support is going to be 61.84. If it breaks the support, then we could start trending to the downside, but this just looks like a little bleep here. So we're kind of looking for it to break the support again for it to continue its trend to the downside. Let's go over to the energy sector here. Everyone's looking at crude oil. I don't know why everyone's looking at crude oil, because the big trades, believe it or not, being cotton, sugar and rough rice. Crude oil really hasn't done anything for the last couple of weeks here, and it's kind of ranging here between 49.47 and 51.83. So that's the typical range that you're starting to see, and you can see here on the daily time frame it's really not doing anything at all. Probability are still more towards the bearish side than bullish, but it still hasn't broken out to the support at all. 1 minute it did look like it here that day, but didn't follow through the next couple of days at all. So be very cautious of that. Heating oil here, bearish trending here. Didn't quite get to our pullback level of 2.1104. Kind of held short of it. Kind of stopped right at the even 2.000. Now the key thing is for this thing to restart the bearish trend, to retest the low and keep on going down, it's got to break the support at 1.7429. Natural gas is the interesting one here. It looks like it's bearish trending here on the weekly time frame. The daily is starting to show some weakness here, so be very cautious of this here. It's got to sit there and break this resistance level 2.954 in order to have an upward movement here, which would be a pullback. If it doesn't and it sits there and starts breaking these supports right here on the daily time frame, then we have a high probability of getting down to 2.036. But the daily is starting to look ugly here, trying to go bullish, but the problem is you got this big cloud here, so most likely the daily is going to sit there and consolidate for a while, and it may sit there and consolidate and slowly go downwards to a point people don't notice it. Gasoline here, the pullback level is 2.1111. 1119. Hasn't quite hit that at all right now. Support's at 1.7232. So you kind of range in between these two levels here until we break out one of those two levels. We really don't know what it's going to do. Feeder cattle here, bullish trending here, waiting for a major pullback to a 200, held it. Now it's trying to resume its upward trend to the top to retest this high here. It's got to break the resistance at 214.38 in order to sit there and have a high probability to retest the high. Live cattle, similar scenario to feeder cattle here. Bullish trending here, held a support roughly around 150. Now it's trying to make a move to the major resistance at 157.57. If it breaks it, then it can retest the high to start the trend upwards. Lean hogs, this is the ironic one here, where this one is opposite of live cattle and feeder hogs, where this is bearish trending here. It's still strong bearish trending here to the downside. So this one's a nice trend. Platinum. This is the amazing one here. It's a nice bearish trend here. Didn't even pull back to 1350 at all. Kind of fell short of it here. Roughly around a little short than 1300. Held that resistance here and then came down. Broke the support at 1230, and at that point now it's making its move to the downside. It's got a high probability, believe it or not, to get to 1101. Okay. Next one you have is copper. Here. Copper here. If you look at copper, copper here is bearish trending here to the downside. Okay, bearish trending to the downside here. Held a support at 2.4883. It's trying to get this resistance at 2.8587. Not quite there yet, but as long as it sits there and holds this resistance here, this is still bearish. If it breaks the support, then it has a high probability going to the downside. Silver here held a resistance here roughly around 18. And now what it's doing, it's at a major support right now, 15.865. If it breaks the support here, it's going to sit there and trend to another level to the downside. Gold here. This is an interesting goal here in gold. A lot of people were bullish. It really got to a major resistance of 1312, held it, and at that point it should have held here at the support if it was going to have any chance of going bullish at 1240. It didn't at all. Broke it. Now we're retesting low here to a point. If we sit there and break it, we have a high probability getting to the 1083 level, which we do have a high probability now of getting there because everything looks good on both the daily, weekly, and lower time frames to break that support. Next is your 30-year. If you look at your 30-year on the weekly, a nice bullish trend here. Should have held a support here at 158 and 2032. Didn't hold that at all. So this is trying to go, it has a high probability of going for its first major pullback, but right now we have to see exactly what's going to happen here. This major pullback still has a high probability of occurring as long as the resistance at 158 and 20 and 32 pretty much gets held, and that's this level right here. As long as this resistance here gets held, it does have a high probability coming back down to there. Next is your 10-year. If you look at your 10-year, it's a little different from the 30-year in that the support has not really been broken. The support right here is at 126.05.5, and that's being held right now. So as long as this holds, this bullish trend is still intact and still not gone for its major pullback at all. You can see the daily is trying to start a bearish trend. If it sits there and follows through and keeps on going down, the daily is going to enter a bearish trend, which will then force the weekly to enter a major pullback. Okay. The 5-year here is just like the 10, but not like the 30-year. It's at a major support right now. If it holds the support, it does have a possibility of keep on going upwards. Its support is at 118.10.5. So that's the support here. Just like the daily, like the 10-year, if it breaks the support here, you start a bearish trend to the downside, which will pretty much force the weekly to enter a major pullback. Then you have your 2-year here. 2-year, if you look at it, seems the strongest here because it hasn't even bleeped a little below the support at all. Holding support at 109, which is very holding strong. And you could see the daily doesn't even look like a bearish trend yet. So the 2-year is a little more bullish compared to the 10 and the 5-year as when we're looking at these charts. And lastly, US dollar. As you can see, the US dollar is taking its journey all the way up. It's getting to our next resistance, which is basically at 98.01, which is its next major resistance. Okay, that's it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any questions, email us or give us a call. Thank you.